Oh my lord, the 90s were such a fantastic time, mostly because I was born then, but I mean, come on. But we've all, the 90s, they were full of some real good shit, like great TV shows, public school food that wasn't all about being green and healthy, and moon shoes. Moon shoes, you know the things that you cracked your ankles on and never did again? Yeah, those. And there were some really nice, good, proper Japanese classic cars. So hey guys, what's going on? It's Alex from Fitment Industries, and on this episode of So You Want, we are talking about the underappreciated yet iconic JDM legend that is the Mitsubishi 3000 GT. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button. If you don't do that, you won't be able to see all of the incredible content that you're probably missing out on. So taking it back to the 90s, Mitsubishi decided to grace us with the introduction of the Mitsubishi GTO, which was way better than the Pontiac GTO. But we're not gonna get into that because we're gonna make our viewers mad, but there's like 12 domestic people and about 20,000 JDM people, so I'm gonna say it anyway. And it was a car that came with all-wheel drive, and it was fast, and it was quick, and it was beautiful, it was incredible. From start to finish, it was an incredible car. But originally meaning to capture the competing audience that Mazda had with their RX-7, Nissan had with their Skyline, and Toyota had with their Supra, the Mitsubishi GTO, or 3000 GT as we call it, was a car that truly just came out swinging. Japan had some neat stuff going on for them in the 90s, and it's a shame that we weren't really able to see that with the brand nowadays. A little bit rough, Mitsubishi, just a little rough. So coming out of the gate in 1990 with the best design queue you could possibly imagine, pop-up headlights. Had a 24-valve V6. It had a couple extra goodies. It was pretty okay, but there was more because there wasn't just the 3000 GT. It was the 3000 GT VR4, and that's what we're gonna spend the day on because you don't need to know that the 3000 GT VR4 was Mitsubishi's top dog. You already knew that. You knew that it came with all the tech you could possibly imagine, like active aerodynamics, twin turb skis, adjustable damping, suspension control, exhaust adjustments to make it louder or quieter, an exhaust system that had more buttons than your dad's TV and stereo set up in 2001? No, you already know that. What you need to know is that it almost always was broke. I know, I'm sorry. You see, in the history videos, you know what's going on there, but we're here to teach you about it if you actually wanted to pick one up nowadays for one of these bad boys, which for anyone that's probably owned them in the past could tell you one if you'd like to have a cold one with them, because trust me, it's unfortunately true, and I've had two of them. Just, if you want to pull up a cold one with me, just don't forget the Busch Light, because Dakota will probably have the rest of them if I leave them at the shop, because he continuously drinks all of the stuff and never replenishes the actual fridge, in which case we keep all the beer, which is totally fine, but whatever. We'll just keep going back into it. I'm going to pretend that Dakota's not behind the camera. So getting back to it, the 3000 GT was, at the original core, a technological masterpiece. It had horsepower, tech, style, elegance, everything. Even though it shared the spotlight in the good old US of A with the Dodge Stealth, there was nothing really like the 3000 GT in the same market with what it had, and it was awesome. Over the years, the 3000 GT continued to impress automotive enthusiasts. The car only featured one major facelift because it really only needed one. Definitely not because they were only around for 8 years or so, but they did get rid of the headlights, which makes me a little sad, but that's okay. The car did outsell and outperform the 300ZX, RX-7, and Toyota Supra, but that didn't last long because Japanese cars all suffered from the same pain of over-optioning. It's like the DLC in video games these days is what the Japanese companies were doing to themselves then. But the options were pretty slick though. They upgraded their 5-speed to a 6-speed, they offered interior options that new cars to this day still couldn't offer, and maintained some serious performance even though it weighed. It was just a little thick, it was 2 Cs in terms of the weight that it had, but it was still all right. Over time, the car continued to be produced into the 90s until being eradicated by the Y2K, and from there, it was all up to us, the enthusiast guys and gals, to keep the car alive. Initially, the 3000 GT was well received, and up until the early 2000s, it was quite the popular aftermarket platform for people. You'd see the 3000 GT grace our presence in the 5-minute prologue intro to Too Fast, Too Furious, which is actually what made me get my first 3000 GT. Fun fact for all, you can tell your mother. And it wasn't that bad. The 3000 GT had an inherent problem with the aftermarket community. They're just really hard to modify. The platform was accepting of aesthetic modifications, BBKs, aero, carbon fiber hoods, and all that good stuff, but not much mechanical because the engine bay was way too tight. And it showed, because doing minor or moderate modification often required heavy involvement in that space. Most often, you'll hear of others pulling motors completely just to save time and patience versus trying to work around anything in the engine bay. Does the car need a ton of aftermarket modification? Probably not. Does that matter to somebody who knowingly overspends on a piece of metal that does nothing but take you from one place to another? I don't think so. The SL models are more common, easier to maintain, have decent looks, and aren't super fast, but aren't terribly slow if it's your first car. The 3-liter naturally aspirated ain't bad at all if you're okay with telling your friends that it isn't the VR4 model. You won't have a terrible time, but yet you have to tell them because they're gonna ask. It took me a while to admit my first one was an SL. Still can't let that one go. However, we all know we're looking at that juicy VR4, like that Gillette ad meme thing that was super popular 3 months ago and now it died and now I'm bringing it back up again because why not? The VR4 is an absolutely astonishing car, but like I said before, its features are almost always broke. The active aero would often get stuck down and many would just keep it that way forever because it looked cool. Then you could tell people that you had it even though it never worked. The active suspension would also face fatigue issues and get stuck in certain settings, and the cost to repair was just more than just switching it out with an aftermarket coilover setup. The all-wheel steering would commonly get deleted because it was a constant issue. The exhaust flange for the adjustment would often rust and just break. It was super cool. Just like not a great hand-me-down cool. You'd find that if you're looking to pick up a VR4, that many people will just rip all of that out because it just either broke underneath their own ownership or they opted to buy it even though it was already broke and they just figured it didn't matter. But can we get past that? Yes, we can. Excitement. Because the 3000 GT VR4 is fun as shit. It's a great looking car. It performs fantastic in the right hands and can do quite the run with the right modifications. But it's a car that not many people know about anymore because it sits at a price point that competes against others that are newer and have more benefits. It's just not the most exciting to work on or modify, and there's not a massive platform, even though there is a core group of enthusiasts that absolutely love these cars. Take one look at the engine bay and you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot going on in there. If you do jump in and pick one up though, you're in for a ride. You'll find yourself looking at the mesh style wheels because they just look so good on it. BC Racing coilovers, because if you get a VR4, the other ones probably don't work. Window tint, because window tint. Blow off valves, because psh. And injectors, oil, and a manual for which fuses to pull so the damn dash lights go away because everything else is more than likely not functioning. So you want a Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4? Hell yes. They're not a DSM, but they are a fantastic car to drive. They are not the cheapest, nor are they the easiest to keep alive. They are a car that will get you noticed because everyone and their mother thinks it's a Ferrari Testarossa. They are not a car that you can jump in and out whenever you want because more than likely they're going to be sitting next to the Eclipse that is also broke that's underneath your ownership. Once you're in it though, you're in. It's a fun car that's a bit like film photography. It's a little bit of a pain. It's not as commonly accepted as it once was. It's not that great really anymore, but people still do it because they love the task of keeping the art alive. The 3000 GT, SL, or VR4 is still a fantastic car to drive. They look absolutely great, and they're one of the few 90s cars that you can actually jump into compared to some of their competitors and not have to pay an arm and a leg. But they are a little bit funky and you're gonna have to get used to it. So have you had a 3000 GT before? Drop a comment below on what you liked or didn't like about it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button if you haven't. Anyways, I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. Let us know what you want to cover next. And if you're here and want some free wheels, I'm not wearing the shirt, but they'll put a picture up. If you guys are looking to get winning in words, if you want to get part of the next giveaway, I'm thinking about the words as they come out of my mouth, you can actually check the description link below. We have partnered with Koenig because Koenig is awesome, actually. And if you pick up a t-shirt, you get entered in to win a free set of wheels if that's your thing. Be sure to check the description link below. We'll also be doing a monetary donation to the ASPCA because I love animals. And that's all you need to know. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries for the second time. We will see you later. Peace.